Recently I've been feeling a real buzz about Splatoon 3, and I'm not sure why. If I'm being honest, this was kind of an inevitable thing that was going to happen to me, as although I haven't been interested in Splatoon 2 for about 2 years, I was still obsessed with it for the first half of its lifespan, and I still keep up with the top teams and players today. It feels like I, along with all the other people, are just so ready for the next game in the series, and I have to say that so far from what I can see, this game is looking really good. There are lots of reasons why I'm hopeful for this game. The style looks great, as do the weapons, and it looks like for the first time we might get a good story mode. However, there is one aspect of Splatoon that I think really affects the game more than nearly anything else, and those are the special weapons. Now I know this might be a bit controversial, but I think the special weapons are the one thing that Nintendo has just never got right. Not just in Splatoon 2, but in Splatoon 1 as well. Sure, both games have had plenty of broken weapons and annoying subs, but on the whole, these have been fixed after a certain amount of time, and in my opinion the actual main weapons of the games are pretty balanced.
They're nice!
This is just sadly not the story for special weapons. I think that the problem with the specials in Splatoon isn't their game balance, but the actual concept of them in the first place. I think that both the games have different problems with how the specials work. Splatoon's 1 specials were really fun to use, but they were just absurdly broken, especially the invincible specials like Kraken and Bubbler. And Splatoon 2's specials are even worse in my opinion, because they are absolutely mind-numbing to use, and all the best specials in the game, you just have to click a button for and it does it for you. On top of that, there's just so little counterplay to so many specials in the game. For example, if you take missiles, you just have to sit there like a lemon and move around until they're gone. Splatoon 1 specials were at least fun to use but not fun to play against, and Splatoon 2 specials are not fun to play and not fun to play against. Of course there are exceptions. For example, I think that the Inkjet, Bomb and Baller are all well designed specials in Splat 2, as well as the Killer Whale to a certain extent in Splat 1. But what excites me is that it looks like Nintendo is putting a lot more care into the special design of Splat 3. All of the specials that we've seen so far look like they have many more layers than the specials in the previous games. Some of them seem like you have to put a lot more thought into how and when you use them, and they also look like they have a much higher skill cap than in the previous titles. As well as that, they have actually been given weaknesses, which makes the game not just fun for the player using the special, but the player going against them too. I think all the specials shown are so cool, but in this video I'm just going to cover 3 of them, and why I think they look so well balanced. My favourite special that was shown in the new trailer out of the bunch has to be the Ink Vac, which is a special that hoovers up any ink thrown at you by the enemy team and then shoots it back at the attacker. What I like about this special is it can be used to deny an enemy's attack in a way which isn't just running away and popping another special from a distance, like missiles or Bomb. This gives the player an opportunity to actually use their brains and will reward good use and punish the player for using it incorrectly, as it seems while using the special you'll be very vulnerable to flanks. Something we actually haven't seen but sounds really good in theory is that this special should also be able to completely shield your teammate from the front, which gives them brief invincibility as long as they stay directly in front of you. This could potentially become an incredibly strong strategy at top level, and I think as long as it's tuned right, this could be a very cool strategy for the game. I also think that another great use for this special is definitely going to be for countering Bomb Rush, as on Splat Zones it's such a strong special which normally just requires the other team to run back. All of this stuff sounds broken, but we also have to remember that there is counterplay to this special. From the footage, it looks like the Ink Vac is incredibly slow, which would make you such an easy target for a flank. Just as an example, I think the Zipcaster is going to actually be a very good answer to this special, as it can get behind it really quickly and take it out. So it balances out the strengths the special has and makes the user have to be more mindful and aware of their surroundings. The other special we saw in the gameplay footage was a triple ink strike. Instead of being one giant missile, the new version splits the bomb into 3 pieces. You can throw these out around the map and have 3 mini explosions go off one after another. This would actually be pretty broken, however Nintendo must have recognised this and made it so the opposing team can actually shoot down the ink beacons before the ink strike lands, which would cancel the special. I am so thankful this was added, as we may have had ourselves another Tentamissile situation in Splatoon 3, which would have absolutely sucked. Because the ink strike's pellets can be shot down, it's going to make the user have to be a lot more careful where you're placing their special, rather than just being able to spam it. Once again, it could be a lot stronger if you play them as a team, as maybe you could throw them in the same direction as one of your teammates is going to push, and try to flush enemies out of cover. There are so many possibilities, and I think that the amount of value you get out of them will actually differ depending on how good the user is at throwing them unexpectedly, or how good the enemy is at shooting them down. The last special I want to talk about today is the Crab Tank. We saw this special ages ago, but now in the gameplay footage we can see how it actually works. This special is more of an aiming special, and although it might not have the best tactical use, the players who master it will definitely find an insane amount of value from this special. It moves in a similar way to the Baller in Splatoon 2, but it can shoot at super long ranges as well as having a much slower blast radius fire. I mean, there isn't much to say about the special other than I think it's going to be really good, as long as the player has good aim. I think it will be quite similar to Inkjet in that way, where it won't do much unless you can hit your shots, but if you can, it's going to be a menace to deal with. Popping one of these alongside someone pushing the Rainmaker or Tower is probably going to be a really strong strategy too, just because of how long its primary fire is, and also because the crab can walk through enemy ink without taking any damage. This will allow it to lead the pack in those modes, and also means it'll be able to pick off the defending team from far away, as long as the user is skillful enough. So, there you have it. This game is honestly looking very promising. We have to remember that Splat 2 was actually a very rushed game, as Nintendo wanted it to come out at the start of the Switch's lifespan. I think that a lot of the game's flaws are probably explained by the fact it was a very rushed game, and I'm actually very excited to see what Nintendo can do when they have proper time to make a sequel. The specials are just one of the things that I'm liking so far. For example, I haven't even talked about the squid roll yet, but that is for sure going to completely change the way we play the game. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace.